I think nitakuwa mtu wa mkono wa Uhuru kuanzia sasa.
Honesty, humility, or perhaps just an unusual candidness might have symbolized that largely unexpected remark from Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka on the 9th of November last year, as he laid his father to rest at a burial ceremony attended by President Uhuru Kenyatta. And it was obviously not lost on observers that Kalonzo might have finally made his kill through the Kenyatta presidency, when these images emerged some 24 hours later, showing the Wiper leader meeting South Sudan President Salva Kiir in the company of Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Dr. Monica Juma. It would later emerge through diplomatic sources that Kalonzo had been picked to head the Joint Monitoring and Evaluation Commission on Peace in South Sudan.
When I was seen visiting President Salva Kiir in the company of Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, Monica Juma, the media concluded I already had the job. What they didn't know was this is a negotiated thing. You have to lobby countries of IGAD. It was not a Kenya job.
Being a commission under the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, Kalonzo's name was floated to all heads of state from the 8 member countries. Insiders say President Kenyatta had already lobbied for Kalonzo's name among all regional governments, with the Foreign Affairs Ministry arranging for Kalonzo to meet most influential of these, among them Uganda President Yoweri Museveni and South Sudan's Salva Kiir. The charm offensive, sources say, however, hit a deadlock when former Sudan President Omar al-Bashir, who was recently toppled in a military coup, rejected Kalonzo's name on grounds that he had not been adequately consulted. Sources within diplomatic circles, however, intimated to KTN News that Bashir had been secretly rooting for former Ethiopian Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn to take up the South Sudan job. Desalegn had been toppled earlier through a military coup, a fate which would months later also befall Bashir. Protocol dictates that the name of the person to take up the South Sudan job would have to be communicated to the African Union Commission by the IGAD chairperson. That person is currently none other than Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, a fierce critic of Desalegn, who Bashir was fronting for the job. A job which would to a large extent involve regular deliberations between the hostile neighbors Khartoum and Juba.
There's never been a sitting of the IGAD authority. And whenever that happens, I'm sure this matter will then be concluded one way or the other. Yeah. I think it's important for the country to know that is what happened, so they do not think something untoward happened.
Away from the promising IGAD job, which Kalonzo insists is still on the pipeline, the Wiper leader has taken a back seat from the early 2022 succession politics, despite having previously declared his intentions to vie for the presidency in 2022. In March 2018, only weeks after Kenyatta's cooperation deal with Kalonzo's coalition partner, ODM leader Raila Odinga, Kalonzo's allies, led then by Ukambani governors Charity Ngilu and Kivutha Kibwana, convened this retreat at Koma Ranch in Machakos under the stewardship of former Senator Johnston Muthama. It was, however, only months before Ngilu and Kibwana ditched Kalonzo and linked up with his fierce critic, Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua, for a pact widely seen as a political strategy to undercut Kalonzo in the Ukambani region.
Na ikiwa kuna wengine pia Ukambani na Kenya nzima wanataka kuwa president, waitishe. Na tuache kutishwa. Kwa sababu tukitisha tukaambiwa kwamba ukiitisha unaharibia mtu mwingine. Yeye mimi ikiwa ninaitisha na yeye anaitisha na niharibia.
Let them land in Kisumu town and let us see crowd coming to them, wanting them to address them. If someone will garner 500 listeners, not supporters, listeners, wanting to know why this guy is here, then I will even ask Kalonzo not to have an interest in the presidential candidates.
Those undertones would be followed months later by yet another Ukambani leaders retreat at Koma Ranch, this time with a special guest in attendance, former Jubilee Party Vice Chair David Murathe, a man widely perceived to be the face of a splinter group in the ruling Jubilee Party, working overtime to block Deputy President William Ruto's 2022 presidential bid.
Rais mtarajiwa Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka.
But just what is Kalonzo's strategy heading to the 2022 polls? Particularly seemingly joining a long list of political leaders, hoping for Kenyatta's support or a similar endorsement from his Mount Kenya backyard in 2022. In a list that also includes his deputy William Ruto and such supremos as Odinga and the opposition 2017 chief campaigner Musalia Mudavadi.
Wakati kumekuwa na post-election violence, nani alisave nchi hii? Si ni Kalonzo? Kama si Kalonzo, sio vita ingeendelea. Yeye anasema hamuna deni, na hiyo ni kweli, hamuna deni yetu, lakini sisi tuko na deni yenu.
It seems to me that the next contest will be between the people who have stood for the handshake, all right, and those who are opposed to the handshake. And therefore there will be a coalescing around that matter.
Nevertheless, for a man who styles himself as a gentleman in the extremely dirty game called Kenyan politics, the coming days present an interesting time for Kalonzo as he prepares what promises the extremely competitive and politically charged 2022 polls. Murumi Mwangi, KTN News.